Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles. Hang with a guy and our special guest. We got Bob, the bike rep. It's a joke on, whatever. Thank you for hanging out with me here in the garage. I'm in Loveland, Colorado. And if you just watching us for the first time, I'm a guy in a garage shop that I built up. I've been in the industry for 35 years. In between small mom and pop shop from Parker Bikes days to currently what I'm doing today. So with my personal perspective and opinions, and hey, this is a community where it's hopefully a safe space for bike shop owners, bike employees, as well as the cyclists, the community, and so forth. So we're going to try to touch upon a lot of that. So with this heavy lift of a topic, I have a special guest, Mr. John Bradley, the legend, the myth, the guy himself here. So this is the segment is as the wheel turns, so the days are our rides. And with John here being within the industry for, how long has it been in industry?
Bike shops through manufacturing, probably about 50 years.
Wow, that's a good chunk of time. And as myself, 35, we've seen a lot of changes over those years, ups and downs and sideways. I think a lot of us can agree is we've never seen anything like this all happening at once. And it's kind of interesting times to say the least. And which leads to basically today's topic. Today's show is brought to you by Medem Bikes, where you can find bicycles that won't break the bank. Great brands like Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings to extend that adventure starting now. What's that mean for the local market? Like this, I mean, we talked about what's going up here, and you got the bike industry trying to figure it out, and then we have, well, this is the front line. I mean, the retail. This is the retail stores. We got big, small, in between sizes. You got micro shops like me, and some of us have been affected quite a bit. And the other part of this too is the consumer, our community. A really good bike shop is really going to be focused on their community of cyclists and events, and people like to ride, and aspirations of having more bike lanes put in and bike paths and all that. And there's that's a huge, big enchilada there to talk about. But I just want to touch base on as me as a small bike shop owner, even though I'm in a garage, I'm still technically a bike shop. That's what the business license says. I'm here.
You're a bike shop, yeah.
But I don't have any vendors. So I'm kind of skirted around a lot of this because I was mostly a service center. Like I rely more on labor and used market and used parts. But I do buy some new stuff like cables and housing and tubes and tires and stuff. And I have seen prices increase, although it doesn't affect my business. But a lot of the bigger shops in the last 6 months to a year have seen the faucet turned off on their mid-range to high-end bikes being sold, and the flooding of sales for those from all the manufacturers from the last 3 years, discounting all that high-end stuff, has basically depleted that market, I would assume, to some point. And now a lot of shops have, if they're smart or been lucky or fortunate enough, have shifted gears and relied on a lot of service work that's keeping the lights on and a lot of labor. And that's where a lot of the market is driven to now, because people are not buying newer, bigger ticket items for the most part. And then a lot of shops like our friends at Will and Sprocket, they've really dived into the used market. And, I don't think they've ever had events like this, but it's like used bike tent sale events at each one of the locations every weekend, or they pick a location. But, they're really leveraging of getting product and also selling the refurbished, fixed up tune-ups bikes and so forth. And they're a great company because they will filter some of the stuff that they don't really need, but they'll have it donated. So they're supporting the cycling community through donations, and Upcycling Bikes have just been sitting in people's garages and able to leverage that to make a profit to keep the lights on because their upper end bike sales are flattened out. I haven't talked to them directly recently, but other shops I have that have leveraged that have seemed to be okay. But when it comes down to your cables and housing and tubes and tires, instead of paying at wholesale level of, let's just say, like, a $3 or $5 for a tube, and now you have to charge $29.99 for a tube that used to go for $6.50 retail. That's going to be, I mean, a big pinch. And I did see two news interviews of local shops, not local to here, but in the United States. And, one shop was trying to absorb some of those price increases. But then you had some others who are like, well, I have a good community. They're trying to support me, but the high-end bikes are, they're not going to be selling. They're not going to be moving, and they're going to have to scale back what's available on the floor, which is almost in conjunction of what's available for them to buy. And it's not like any of those vendors are going to go, hey, we have a whole bunch of bikes to sell to you, because I think the faucet's going to be turned off on Amazon. I do have a Amazon store, like the latest pick, basically, of products that are on sale, that kind of thing, and various other parts and tools and so forth that I suggest using within those particular categories. Check that out. Go through, and even if you don't buy the product that I suggest and you find something else that fits your needs better, or your grocery list, or whatever you end up buying, I get a little kick. So that's a good opportunity for you to get something, and I get something that helps support me doing what I'm doing.
It's going to be we're in sort of some tough times. I mean, I if you have a large floor, a lot of display space, and you can't get the bikes, and all of a sudden that investment, your rent is going to kill you, potentially, or you got to downsize. I mean, there has never been anything quite like this. I mean, I think I've said that about 4 or 5 times already. I apologize. Well, we've had boom and bust. I mean, okay, we definitely have had booms. I mean, I was, came into the industry during the 70s bike boom, and then it went bust, and a lot of bike shops. I remember at one point, I grew up in Denver, and Denver had like way over 100 stores at one point, and then, a year and a half later was less than 100, way under 100. I would think that everybody is looking to increase efficiency, reduce floor space, focus on what you can, where there is profit. I mean, what you're doing, I mean, you're like, you've got almost a watertight type of business where you're at, because, low overhead, basically, lights and stuff. But, it's going to be challenging, I think, for some of the bigger stores. It's interesting with the upper end part of the market there, the people that got all the whopper tax cuts, they got plenty of money to burn. They still are going to want to buy a new bike or whatever minute. All these guys I ride with, they're all riding like these carbon Uber bikes, and I mean, a lot of them have been buying like crazy, and with all the discounting of late, the market will slow down. But there probably is some way to survive at the upper end. But I wouldn't want to sit on a lot of inventory, because if you buy at a high price because of the bike has all these tariffs hit it, and then all of a sudden say the tariffs go away and bikes start coming in at a lower price, you're like, oh my God, I can't get my money back out of that bike. I mean, it's very, very hard to plan for. I mean, I would say it's kind of a batten down the hatches, like reduce all your costs that you can, and look for profitability. Like I think what Wheel and Sprocket is doing is great. I mean, there's a lot of great bikes out there that, sometimes literally end up in a landfill because, somebody ages out of them and the relatives don't know what to do with it. And sometimes they just literally throw it away or give it to to Goodwill that doesn't know what to do with it sometimes. And but I think there's a way to get through this. I mean, there's resilience. I mean, the key thing I think is bicycles are great. They've enriched my life physically, emotionally, financially. Maybe some of the financial part is going to go away, but it's a great thing to ride a bicycle. So we do have that, and if we're having trouble being able to sell imported bicycles, then you look for what's here. And a used bike may have been produced in Europe or Asia or wherever, but it's here now, and that is not impacted by tariffs. So I would say the refurbished used market is going to become pretty important. And I don't know how many shops will survive. I'm not real optimistic for a lot of shops, I think. So.
Well, I mean, there have already been indicators from even the corporate stores, like Trek and Specialized. They've been shutting down stores, and you mentioned it may have been by design initially for Trek to flood the market, then pull back on a few stores here and there. But I think they're probably pulling back as more than they would have hoped for. But that also just shows you the indication. I've seen a lot of shops go under. And there's a lot of reasons, it's not specifically just this that'll cause them to go under. I mean, the cycling industry has always been hard. It's like, even on a good market, it's still very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, none of us go into this thinking we're going to make money at all. Yeah, I love working on bikes. I work at a bike shop, or I have my own mobile shop or whatever. And it's like, you're not here for the Lamborghini at the end of the road. It's not going to happen. You're here because you like bikes, you like cycling, and that's what drives most of the local markets anyway, and the local bike shops, is they want to build these communities. They like bikes, they enjoy it, and even like, I'm going to throw Archie in there, the guy that I work at Lease. I mean, he owns like half of Fort Collins, or did at the time, and he did a lot of real estate. But he's always told me, is like, the bike shops never made any money. He just liked bikes in general. That's why he had the bike shop.
I mean, I think another store chain like that went away was Penn Cycle out in the Twin Cities. They owned all these properties, and then once the management group got to a point to where there weren't enough of them to be excited about bikes, and they saw that, it was time to move on, aging out or whatever. And that was, I mean, they were the first Trek dealer in the world, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was Dick and Bevel, or one or the other. The two of them wandered in, and I think Penn Cycle became the first Trek dealer, and they're gone. But it generally seems a lot of the stores, if they own the property, they're in better shape. If you're having to pay rent, it's going to be challenging.
Exactly, and that's always when I tell anybody that has a bike shop now, there's like two main things you really want to focus on. One is owning your own inventory, so you have less dollars, being interest charged. And then second, don't expand, just save up and get a building, buy it outright. And, because if your mortgage is the same for the 30 years, that's a lot more security than every 2 to 4 years when you re-sign that lease. Right. Always a bump. Right. It's like, even in the worst of times, they're going to want more money from you.
Right.
And that just erodes any profitability that you made in those 2 years. I mean, through Parker Bikes back in the day, that's what I think we signed Lease like 4 or 5 times, and we expanded twice, and both expansions were dumb. I mean, we should not have done that at all. We should have kept it small. But, when you're in the weeds, you're like, I'm really busy, and I think I'll sell more bikes if I have more of a footprint. I could display more.
Yeah. And
as we found, like, good 15, 20 years ago, a lot of bike shops, they had big footprints, and they just kept on shrinking
right.
To be more compact and more impactful. And I think part of that was a huge internet explosion, that you can sell more with a less footprint, all those things. But yeah, looking at the small bike shops, Number one, if you're a consumer, you're riding, support your local shops, go buy some tubes, whatever you need, service work, what have you, whatever they provide, because they're in some challenging times. And the service departments, I mean, like myself, have been hammered this year. Like there's just a lot of service being done because a lot of people are fixing what they have instead of buying new
Yeah.
for the most part. And those service departments are being leveraged by two factors. One, for the demand. And second, they're going to be, especially with Will and Sprocket, which is good because they're able to keep those individuals busy by all this used product because that gets filtered into your labor, into your service departments too. So they get a double hit there. And it takes more of, bike builders are one thing, and nothing to knock bike builders, but it's more of a simplistic process than it is to refurbish a bike that might be older. So
Right.
it goes into that tune-up scale. So yeah, if they're a week out, I'm a month out myself. I had one guy, ping was like, "You seriously out a month?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's not going into the off season. I'm still scheduling about a month out. That's for me, for my type of business." And you're right. I'm lucky. And a lot of shops have been leveraging what my successes have been.
And I know Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to Jensen's USA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home.
And they're doing okay. One shop owner is like, "I do like the shiny new things." And I'm like, "You're going to have to turn off the temptation for at least 2 years."
Yeah.
Bringing that in your store.
Yeah. It's really going to be, I mean, it's challenging because, you have, it's almost like getting a crop of used bikes because you don't, if you need a 58 centimeter, maybe they're not, that 58 centimeter road bike isn't available, or, you're going to have to, have a good eye to select what you can make money out of and to have enough of what people want. But it's, and it's also, as you say, you need real mechanics, not just assemblers. People who are problem solvers, because sometimes used bikes are used because they have problems.
Usually are, yeah.
Or the one thing I've kind of had fun, I'm sort of my own product manager of late. Whenever I buy an old bike, one of the first things I do is put a wider or particularly lower gear range on it, because we were, there's been a lot more information about, we've all been pushing larger gears historically than we needed or should have been. And putting a little bit wider tire on a road bike can be transformative if it can take it. So not all road bikes some road bikes you can't put much more than a 23C tire on, and but
Yeah,
it's also kind of fun though too. Bringing something back. It's like what you do with the finish work, where all of a sudden the bike's 50 years old, and all of a sudden it might have a scratch here or there, but the paint that is there looks brands, better than new in some cases. So it can be pretty fun. And, there's a sense of accomplishment also from bringing something back. You're doing your Frankenstein, bringing it back from the dead on the Halloween theme here.
Oh yeah. Mr. Cutter's here.
Yeah.
Bike rep.
Yeah. And, it'll be interesting. It's also being able to find good vendors that can support you with the parts that you need. Because, as you get into older bikes, we've been hurtling towards, oh my God, I think Campy and some people are at the 13 speeds now or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, can you buy a 5-speed freewheel? Not a cassette, but a freewheel, Yeah. There's probably a large part of our audience goes, "What's a freewheel?" But it can be rewarding, but again, man, time to batten down the hatches. Just
Yeah. Well, if there's a lot of good mechanics out there. and they've been around like you and I, tinkering and working on stuff. And somebody will tell me a problem, like, "Oh, I know how to fix that."
Right.
It's this, and they're like blown away. And I'm like, "Oh, you can fix that?" I mean, case in point, I just worked on a specialized Roubaix Pro. It had been like 20 years old. Mint, like it was dirty, but you can see underneath the dirt, mint condition. I mean, I have it on my This Old Bike channel, so check it out there. And the shifters were both dead, but ultrasonic cleaning them with under hot water, blowing out all that old grease that kicks up from Shimano. It shifted great with new cables and housing. That thing is nice and hardly used, and it weighed 17 pounds.
That's pretty good.
So I'm like,
That's really good.
And the owner, when he picked it up, it was just like, it was like, even though it was a 20-year-old used bike, it was like he bought a brand new bike off the showroom floor. That's how the expression on his face was, like, this is so cool. Well, and my point on that is, like, we've been a consumer society for so long. There's a huge used market, huge used inventory, if you will, out there ripe for the picking. I mean, just go to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or eBay. Bam, there's bikes to every price point, and some need more work than others, and some are like ready to be just ridden right off with a little bit of tweaks and adjustments here and there.
Yeah, I mean, the key, if you're going to do that, if you venture off into the internet to buy a bike, is you want to make sure it doesn't have some catastrophic issue like a steel bike or an aluminum bike, any bike with stripped bottom bracket threads or something like that.
Yeah,
something. And even there, like we were talking about that one, was it a Le Mans you had that? There is a way to fix it. It may not be ideal. It won't get back to what the type of crank it originally was meant for, but there's ways to fix that. But you want to, if we've got people watching who aren't bike guys, just buyer beware. You want to check things out. I mean, but on the other hand, there's a lot of great values out there too. I mean, it's once in a while, just something drops in your lap. You go, I can't believe somebody let this go.
Got a whole bunch of bike stuff, and you just need to get rid of it. No longer needs to be in your garage, needs to be in somebody else's garage, and actually, maybe being used. Go to bikeflights.com. You can actually open an account yourself, or just put in a one-time usage, put in the destination, so forth, the bike size, dimensions, and weight. Don't forget the weight. And add that insurance, because you'll definitely want to make sure that insurance is covered if something happens in that UPS or FedEx or whatever transfer going to that next destination. You want to be protected. Then you just have to drop it off at your local UPS store and be able to get it on its way. And again, I have shipped bikes, parts, wheels, and frames for decades now. And Bike Flights is sure enough one of the best directions to go.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of bike shops are able to take advantage of that.
Yep.
And even then, I mean, for example, like a bike like that, they can pick up for $300 to $500, do another tune-up and stuff and make a little margin on it, but you're still under $1,000 for a bike that's refurbished and ready to go. And a lot of those shops do have, like, I'm sure Will and Sprocket has a guarantee for 30 days or whatever, and then you got that securities. There's a huge market, and my whole channel is based off of this premise.
Thank you for watching the latest installment of the top news of As the Wheel Turns, So Do Days of Our Rides opinion piece. Hopefully you got some insights of what a perspective of a bike shop is with the current events that are going on around them. Yeah, it's still a little muddy waters, but week in and week out, we try to do our best and navigate that for our customers and our community. Well, in any case, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Until next time, have a wonderful day.